Retro.
Today's episode is brought to you by our patrons over at patreon.com/animaniacast. Special thanks go out to Brian, Micah, Richard, Yama, Marjorie, Martin, Melissa, Patrick, Christian, Kyle, McCoy, MJ, Nebby, Quetzal, Rapid Kirby 3K, Sirzik Corrector, Tamara, The Guaranteed Engine, The Cartoon Gamer, and Weffy. If you would like to become a patron yourself, then head on over to patreon.com/animaniacast. You'll not only be supporting our show, but you'll also be getting access to additional bonus audio, including Animaniacs commentaries with Tom Ruger, and there's also other incentives as well that you probably will be interested in. So check it on out over at patreon.com/animaniacast, and thank you to our supporters. And welcome everybody to a Pinky in the Brain episode of the Animaniacast.
Yes, plans, I've made a few, but I'm not through. I am tenacious, I'll do what I must do to take the world, but I'll be gracious. My plan will soon unfurl, and I won't fail. Citizen Kane's way, and oh, one thing is clear, you'll do it Brainsway. In time, you're going to bow, and then you'll kneel right here before me. I am not a sacred cow, you will avow, and you'll adore me. It is my destiny to lead you now, not in Mark Twain's day. And oh, one thing is clear, you'll do it Brainsway. I'm not just a mouse, no I am not, nor am I some evil despot. I'm going to rule, that is my fate. I'll be the supreme high potentate. No need to fear, my will is clear. You'll do it Brainsway. Yes!
And welcome everybody once again to the Animaniacast. This is the podcast that is exclusively dedicated to the animated television series Animaniacs, as you know, as well as Tiny Toon Adventures and Pinky and the Brain. And well, you know, tonight you might be asking yourself, however, what are we going to do tonight? Well, the same thing we do every night. We going to talk about Pinky and the Brain. We're going to revisit all the cultural references and gags, and of course, in the end, we're giving this episode of Pinky and the Brain a Water Tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me once again is my brother Nathan.
Dankashay.
Gesundheit. Across the country in Georgia, there's Kelly.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Well, we got another episode here of Pinky and the Brain to summarize and talk about and review, and this episode was once again chosen by our lovely patrons over at patreon.com/animaniacast. They get to tell us what to do, and we are proud and happy to do it. And so this episode I've heard of, I've never seen before today. It's called Brainsway, and Brainsway was episode 16 of the third season of Pinky and the Brain. And if someone were to ask you about this episode in just a few words, what would you tell them, Nathan?
It made me want to be chairman of the board.
Room.
Yeah.
Kelly, what about you?
It's very musical.
It was a very musical. We got to see a lot of singing in this episode. And this was the episode I was proud to see that we had just talked to Maurice LaMarche about, actually, where he was talking about not being able to sing. And he had mentioned about singing Frank Sinatra albums as a kid. And, well, here we go. I don't know if that helped influence our patrons in selecting this one, but it worked out perfectly for us.
Yeah, because we were trying to figure out what he was talking about when he was.
Yeah, afterwards I was saying to Nathan, is that not, that's not an episode from the new show, is it? And like the season 2 or something? And no, it's this episode. So that shows how tuned out we are of the Pinky the Brain series.
Animaniacs. This doesn't count. So
it totally does count. I mean, it's just stuff that we missed. This is what I actually like about doing these reviews, though, is, seeing them. I only saw them live with, when they first came out, and
and they were pre-recorded back then too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I only saw them. I only saw them on Kids WB. When they came out on Kids WB, and if you missed it, you missed it. And when it came to reruns later on the Hub or whatever kind of cable channel it was, well, I was older then and didn't watch it. So, it's nice to see these episodes for the first time and get some good content. So anyway. This one right here, Nathan, why don't you tell us, when did this episode of Pinky the Brain first premiere?
Okay, well, this was a Saturday. It was October 11th of 1997, which was, of course, the same day as the Animaniacs episode, Cute First, Ask Questions Later, Acquaintances, Here Comes Attila, and Boo Wonder. So some good and bad segments in that.
I was just happened to be listening. Every now and then I'll just go to our podcast feed and I will just randomly select an episode. Why? I don't know.
Listeners can do too. If
you can. You can just go, there's over 200 episodes now. So just do
entertainment. Yeah,
exactly. Just do Warner Roulette, I guess, and hit an episode and listen to it. And that's the one I was listening to. And we were like that Acquaintances episode. That was one that was like, it started off as one episode and then quickly turned to a different episode, and the animation and everything changed in it.
Mm-hmm.
Friends.
Friends. And to reiterate what happened in this episode, I'll just repeat what I said on that episode. So it's just a couple days after Everclear released their multi-platinum third album, So Much for the Afterglow, which contained Father of Mine and I Will Buy You a New Life. Remember, those songs are big.
Yes.
It was 2 days after Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2 was released on Microsoft Windows, and it was 1 day after the release of Rocket Man and Boogie Nights. So.
Yes, and like I said in our previous discussion, Rocket Man is a very good movie, and we did not play that video game, and I thought we did.
Yep.
But it was a different one.
I was going to say, this is not the game we played.
This is not the game we played. Nathan remembers that conversation.
Yes.
Well, that's nice. Okay, well, anyway. Let's go ahead and get into our discussion of this episode. Let's go ahead and talk about Brainsway.
This is Maurice LaMarche, the voice of the brain, and you are listening to the Animaniacast.
And Brainsway was written by Wendell Morris and Tom Shepard, and it was directed by Nelson Racinos. And Kelly, why don't you tell us what happens here in the first part of Brainsway?
Okay. So, Brain's been doing some singing. It sort of sounds like Frank Sinatra, except it's what Fred Spinatra, I think is what they call him in the episode.
I believe so, yeah.
And, Pinky thinks he's great, and Brain keeps saying, I don't sing. I'm not a singer. And he's got a new plan. And he's calling it Brainophonic Sound. And he wants to put stereo speakers on the North and South poles. And then they're going to broadcast the sound of a dripping faucet.
Operation Water Torture works as planned. Once our speakers are in place, we shall broadcast the incessant sound of a dripping faucet across the globe. Unable to comprehend the source of the sound, the populace will be driven temporarily mad, and we shall seize the planet.
And then will you sing?
I don't sing.
And apparently he needs billions and billions of dollars for this. And so to come up with the money, he wants to open a casino in Las Vegas, and he wants to call it Brains Palace. And the only game that's going to be there is Baccarat. and he calls it a thinking person's game. So he needs money to build the casino.
All we need is 6 million in seed money. Zord!
If we build it out of seeds, won't the birds eat it? What kind of collateral do you have?
Why, my word of honor. What else could you possibly need? If at first you don't succeed, Pinky, cry again.
They get laughed out of like the banks and even a trailer.
Yeah, that was the bank of last resort, was a trailer.
And finally he finds this elderly woman who collects collector plates, and she's willing to give him the money, and in return he gives her as collateral the deed to Acme Labs, which I didn't even know he held the deed to Acme Labs. I don't think he really does, but you know.
I think there might be some forgeries in there.
Probably.
I'm not exactly sure how he got that might be in a hidden, a non-released episode of how he got the deed to Acme Labs. Oh, this is in 1962. We should also point out this is in the past for whatever.
It's not immediately apparent unless it said it right at the beginning.
It said it right at the beginning.
Okay. I was on the treadmill watching this episode, so I was like,
which is the best place to watch it, by the way. This is get on a treadmill and watch Pinky and the Brain.
Steps in. So if you didn't read it though, it wasn't immediately apparent. But
No.
so the lady said, sure, I'll give you the money, and she sort of tells him that I would have done it even without the Acme Labs, just on the honor system. And then she's got her boys that come in from the back, and they almost look like mobsters or something, and sort of intimidates Brain and Pinky, but she says that they'll make sure that everything's going to go smoothly. And then they start construction, and Brain, they've got the frame of the building up, and he and Pinky are walking around, and but he wants like even the frame to be built of it's mahogany, right?
Yeah, mahogany wood. Even even the inside of the walls has to be mahogany wood.
And that's
mahogany
so expensive.
wood.
And that reminds me of the scene in the Hunger Games where Katniss like puts a knife in the table, and Effie goes, "That's mahogany." And anyway, it's funny. So, but yeah, mahogany is pretty expensive, and Brain wants everything to be super nice and well built, and even Pinky points out that they're spending a lot of money and that maybe they should scale back a little bit, but nope.
And then they end up getting hit on the head with some wood.
Yeah, it's not even mahogany though.
Yeah.
And some pine, I guess.
Yeah,
the pine that they're tearing out, and we go to commercial.
Yeah, I always think of the Anchorman quote with mahogany.
Oh, that's what that reference was. It was like rich mahogany. What is that from?
Kind of a big deal.
Well, there are, I was telling Nathan and Kelly beforehand, I think our patrons are trying to torture us, specifically me, because I was the one going up all these references in this one. And, it seems simple enough. It's a lot of Frank Sinatra stuff, but there's all these other just random things.
You can go
that
down
are
rabbit holes on this episode.
Totally.
Easily.
Very easily.
And I was like, I'm going to let Joey do that this week. And
Yep. So
I've done that and then with these Pinky and the Brain episodes, there's no sources so before we could just copy and paste, like, oh yeah, everyone knows this, but let's just copy and paste, like,
Hello Nice Warners was a fantastic it still is a fantastic Tumblr that people can check out that goes over a lot of references and hit pretty much
so much time. Yeah, exactly.
It helped us out so much because there was only a few that he would almost forget, maybe a couple sometimes.
Yeah,
but often then, get stuff we wouldn't
and fact check it or whatever. But it's he's like accurate. Like this is good.
Exactly. But there's a lot of stuff. Kelly mentioned the brainophonic sound, and that's stereophonic. Stereo sound was very big in the 60s. If you listen to some of those old 60s albums, I love them because it was a great way to do karaoke. You listen to some of those Beatles albums around that time, and if you just push everything to the right channel, all the vocals are gone, and then you can just sing without Paul or John. It's pretty great. Let's see. I thought it was interesting, by the way, that he only needed $83 billion to make huge speakers on either side of the globe.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little low, but we did get a little bit of that political humor that the Pinky the Brain sometimes did, although not as it was very low key as usual, which was talking about the place where they like to party and throw away money.
We must head to a place where overweight, middle-aged people go to party and throw away money.
Capitol Hill?
That's about as political as, those clowns in Washington. Something that you probably hear since 1942. So not incredibly political, but
the
it was
circus is in town.
Yeah. Those clowns. Anyway, the old lady Bernice, or Bernie as she's put into the credits right there, has a lot of collector plates, and she mentions she had an Arthur Godfrey collector's plate. She started with that, and I was like, okay, Arthur Godfrey, who the heck is this? He was a radio and TV personality, and he died in like 1982 or 3. The one thing I thought was interesting was back in the 50s, he used to, be an advertiser for cigarettes, like everybody else was in the 1950s. And he got lung cancer in 1959, and then ended up becoming one of the first celebrities that kind of spoke out against cigarettes. So I thought that was just an interesting note on him. And I'm sure people can check out more stuff about him. Martin and Lewis are mentioned, who of course were Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, as some of the talent they could get into this casino. Pinky says, we can get Martin and Lewis, or Lewis and Lamb Chop. And that, of course, is referencing Lamb Chop the puppet and Sherry Lewis. And Sherry Lewis, I think she was doing stuff back as far back as 1962. I know our dad had some puppets and stuff of Sherry Lewis, and we would growing up, we'd go to our grandparents' house, and they still had those puppets of Lamb Chop and Charlie Horse and Hush Puppy. And there was even a little puppet of Sherry Lewis herself. I don't know what happened to all those things, because when our grandparents moved, I don't know what happened. What happened to them, Nathan?
I don't know.
Oh man, I bet they're worth something. But anyway, I thought that was kind of a cool little thing. And the weirdest reference I saw, they were mentioning mahogany, and then Pinky the Brain says something about Diana Ross, and that I just Googled Mahogany Diana Ross, came up right away. Diana Ross was in a movie called Mahogany in 1975. So there you go.
All the kids who get that right away.
All the kids get it right away. Again, I don't know how this episode, a lot of this, you got to know a lot of stuff about Sinatra, which, a lot of the songs he's going to be singing in this are pretty well known for, if you know anything about standards and stuff. But yeah.
If you have any standards, guys.
If you have any standards, you'll know these songs.
You know Frank Sinatra. If you have any
exactly. No. But I don't know. The internet back then was just in its infancy, and there was no way to check these references unless you knew it. You know what I mean? So there we go. That's that first part. What did you guys find funny or interesting in this first section? Nathan, let's start with you.
I thought the old lady sounded a bit like Mom from Futurama.
Very similar kind of voice, and very similar kind of thing where she has two, well, these are her grandsons, but the two children thugs. Basically there to take care of business for her and
she
break
cares
some
a
backs.
lot about money. Yeah, exactly.
She didn't quite get as evil like Mom does in Futurama, but yes, same. Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Just be sure to pay me back. Otherwise, my grandchildren will be very unhappy.
Well, we wouldn't want to make the little tykes cry.
Oh, they won't cry, but you might.
They've eluded us, Mother. But rest assured, we've already slapped each other, so there's no need to... Ow!
You'll thank me someday when you're slapping your own kids.
Kelly, what about you?
I thought Bernie kind of looked like the lady with Tweety Bird.
Oh yeah, what is her name? I know she's
Grandma.
Grandma, yeah. Tweety used to call her Grandma. She's in that Space Jam movie, just came out. I will be watching it, and maybe I'll put I don't know. Nathan, you have HBO Max, don't you?
Yeah.
Should you and I watch it and then give a quick? We should give a reaction to it. We should give on our Patreon.
So. We really should
because the Warners are in it.
Warners in it, yeah.
The Warners are at least in the background, and IMDb, which can be edited by anybody, said that they are voicing in it.
No, but there's going to be stills of there'll be statues. So
and they're in the background.
Will require a whole episode.
There are computer generated somethings of them in the background. So that's something, good stuff in that first one. Let's go ahead and talk about the second part. And Nathan's going to talk about section 2 and 3. That's right. Man. We're doubling his work.
Double my work. Oh, the Earth is 8,000 miles wide. So we're going to be huge speakers. So,
I don't know if those were to scale or not, but I guess they would have to be. I'm not sure, but 83 billion brain. I don't know.
Oh, and I just want to say water dripping sound. I feel like that's like, I was trying to look up. I thought that was like an actual torture that they did, but I couldn't find. There's a dripping machine that they did in China that would drip water on you.
Yes, yeah. That's
I don't know
actual.
If the sound itself was ever used as.
Well, I think it's just the joke because it is very annoying. We have a dog water dish that is automatic, filters the water, and it is a little fountain thing. And I will vouch that it is a very annoying sound when you hear that little dribble sound in the background, and you just want it to stop. And Yeah. I get it. That you have a leaky faucet and you can't figure out where it's from in the middle of the night. It can torture you. So there you go.
It's evil.
Anyway.
This is a more evil plan than some of his.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay.
Well,
anyway,
sure.
So yeah, parts 2 and 3. Yes. Should I
go?
Okay.
Do it.
All right. So we open up. The casino has been built. So within this commercial break, they have built all the walls filled with mahogany. It is a huge tower. They're putting on a brain holding the globe kind of thing. It's says opening in 1 week. And we go inside and we see that turns out Pinky and the Brain are trying to find a musical guest, someone to like they can feature for their casino to get people to come to their casino. And they're testing out some people, but they don't sound great. One sings about a puppy dog, and the other one's singing Gesundheit.
What's a puppy dog? Ow, wow, 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 wow. Puppy dog, cockapoo. Please don't chew on my shoe.
Enough!
Gesundheit, honey, Gesundheit. How I loved when you sneezed last night.
Achoo! Catchy little tune, isn't it, Brain?
Cold and flu season is over. Dankeschön and goodbye.
Dankeschön.
And, Brain decides that they're both terrible. He may just have to do it himself if he wasn't such a bad singer or something. And then, hey, the granny comes in. I forget her name.
Bernice.
I'm gonna call her Mom. Bernice. She comes in and says, "Hey, I see you still don't have a headliner. We got to get something right now." And he's like, "Oh, it's a surprise." And Pinky's like, "And if everything goes as planned, or if we don't find someone soon, it will end up being the chairman." And they're like, "Oh, the chairman of the boardroom," which is in this universe is Fred Spinatra.
Yes.
So they think that Fred Spinatra is going to do it, and Brain was talking about him being the chairman of the casino. So it's some little, and he's like, "Well, maybe I'll just have to do it anyway." So he sings a song called Brainsway, which is there's lots of little references in this song to different things,
So Citizen Kane's Way.
Yeah. And talking, it sounds kind of like a song by Frank Sinatra in our universe called My Way.
Ooh, very good.
He finishes the song and it's dead silence. So like the audience, I guess, doesn't like it, but hey, there's a shadowy figure who stands up and starts to slow clap. And he says,
I hereby ordain you the latest thing, my friend.
This is Fred Sinatra.
Who, for some reason, they keep in the shadow. I was not quite sure why they didn't
see him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Whatever.
You see his friends who are also famous people. And then everyone else is clapping. They all love him now because Fred Sinatra liked it, so we must like it too. And so we go to that was the end of Act 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go and just talk about the little things in it real quick to break up the references, so I don't talk for 10 minutes of nothing but references.
That sounds good.
Okay, so the "What's Up, Pussycat" parody was originally sung by Tom Jones. This is, however, the character is Tom Cajones, which kind of looks like Tom Jones, but it's not. And then, of course, the Danke Schoen song was originally sung by Wayne Newton, but this Gesundheit one is sung by Wayne Fig Newton. Or Dwayne Fig Newton. Yeah. Well, I was a little confused about the whole talking about we're spending so much money, and one of the things they said was it's lucite bathroom seats with silver dollars put into them. That sounds so weird that I'm like, that has to be referencing something in real life. But I'll leave it to the audience to know, did they do that in Las Vegas? I seem to remember toilet seats when I was a kid. Some of the older ones from the 60s and stuff had stuff in them, which looked really weird, like flowers and stuff like that. That was a trend. But at any rate, I did look up, by the way, why was Frank Sinatra chairman? Why was he called chairman of the board? And it's because he was a member that founded the record album he was on, Reprise Records. He founded that. So therefore, he's chairman of the board. Just had to look that up for reasons. And the old lady gives another really random fact. She says something about she's going to tell her friends about in the Burt Mustin fan club about this.
I can't wait to tell my friends at the Burt Mustin fan club that the chairman is playing here.
And I was like, who the heck is Burt Mustin? And the weirdest thing is, I know who he is after looking him up. He was a character actor in the 50s and 60s. He was a very old man. He was in a few episodes of the Twilight Zone, including there's one called Kick the Can, I believe, and he was in that one.
You got my can?
You got no, not that one. Oh, okay. I Got Your Can. No, he was not in that Slappy Squirrel cartoon. But he was in one of our favorite movies, Nathan. He was in The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. And he is the old man who has 0 lines, but he hands Luther a flashlight before he goes to the haunted house.
Oh, didn't he go to our church?
And yes, exactly. And our dad used to always say, that man right there used to go to our church. And I looked and I looked it up, and it's true. He did live in Tucson, Arizona until the mid 50s or 60s or something like that, where he went off and went to Hollywood and moved to Los Angeles. So a short amount of time when our dad was a little kid. Yes, he did go to our church in Tucson. So
that's so funny, though.
But
they called him out in Animaniacs.
Yeah, Burt Mustin. There we go. And for me to know who he is and to have some connection with him, a slight, the very weak connection, but still, I knew of him. There we go. And of course, Brainsway, like you mentioned, it's My Way, and there we go. And I did note that his song, at least this version, he seemed like he was going to talk about how he'd be a good ruler, I suppose. He was talking about that people would love him and stuff like that. He was very confident in his leadership skills in this song. But Nathan, Kelly, what did you think? Kelly, let's start with you. Any highlights of this second part?
I enjoyed Brain's songs.
Yeah, this first one is might be his best. I mean, it got the title there, so that's something. Oh, Nathan, before we get to you, forgot to mention Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin were also featured next to Fred Spinatra. I don't think they gave them weird names. I think they just called them,
named him at all.
I think they called them Dean and Sammy, perhaps, and that's about it. But no funny last name for them. Sammy Davis Jr., by the way, I believe died on the same day as Jim Henson. I just remember that day as a kid, obviously. So, yeah, little fact. Nathan, what did you think about this middle part?
Oh, I enjoyed it. It was it's kind of fun to see Brain sing a fun like little song, and the reference to Orson Welles is fun because his voice sounds like Orson Welles' voice.
You got it. Well, let's go ahead and get to the third part. And Nathan, go ahead and wrap it up for us. What happens here in the last half of Brainsway?
The Brain is famous. Everyone loves him. Yeah, he's singing. We get to see a bunch of albums that he's created. He's at a boxing ring. He's singing to everyone in the audience.
I'll tie the world up in rope, stick it in a closet, slide some food under the door. What a plan, what a planet. I'm in charge.
He's on a kid's show. He's singing about something, not High Hopes, but something else.
I believe the song I think it's called He's Got Big Dreams.
Big Dreams. And it's about the brain and being a brain in the White House kind of thing.
What could make a brave little mouse think he'll live inside the White House? You'll never hear that mouse grouse. He's not wearing no blouse, but he has big dreams. He has big dreams. He has angel food cake in the late schemes.
You know, he's met the president. We see him at the Kennedys. We see him like all over. Things are going great for the Brain. And even Pinky is getting some sort of career in singing songs too. I don't know how that happened, but
yeah. Well, they got to fill out the act, you know?
Yeah,
they can't just have him.
These fins are built for swimming. That's what they're gonna do. Stay out of the pool or else these fins will splash in front of you.
So he's also a musician.
Right. I got to mention, Nathan. Yeah, I did like how it did have the marquee on top. As is, you know, Brainatra, and then it goes, and Pinky. Little letters under that.
So yeah, so this is Pinky's contribution. Is a song about flippers and how they'll splash all over you. And then we cut to Bernice is upset though because she shows him the casino and no one is inside the casino. And it turns out that no one likes baccarat. As Brain calls it, you know, and she says it's because no one knows how to play it. But Brain's, you know, he's upset. He says, "Fine, just do whatever games. Just I don't care. Whatever people like to play." You know. So then he's back. He's going back to do some more. You know, he's chilling at some parties, and people are, you know, so interested in whatever Brain says because you know he's famous and rich.
So then Ernie Borgnine says to me, "What are you, a man or a mouse?" And I said, "What do I look like, my friend? I am a mouse."
And then Bernice brings him back. Well, the grandson brings him back over to the casino. And hey, there's a bunch of people at the casino now. Everyone's having a great time. There's like roller coasters. Everyone's winning a lot of money. Everyone's having so much fun. The games are like, what's your name? And if you can name what your name is, then you win all this money. It's great. But unfortunately, it means that the casino is now bankrupt. So this was Pinky's idea to get games that people like. So kind of worked.
It was like a crazy Chuck E. Cheese thing where everyone wins. You know, there's like Bob for money, which I thought was great. People like just ducking their heads into pulling up money bags with their face, which I think so. Good stuff.
It looks pretty bad. But hey, Brain's gonna just come out and sing because he's still really popular, right? But at his next performance, the audience has gone. It turns out that they're all going to see Dwayne Fig Newton and his new song Donkashay, which is what Brain said as he left after singing Gesundheit. So it turns out Brain kind of influenced Dwayne Fig Newton to write Donkashay.
Donkashane.
And yeah, it's a whole thing. So it turns out they're just gonna have to leave and close out the casino. But before they do, Bernice stops them and says, "Hey, I got the deed to your Acme lab still, so I own you," or something. I don't know. Basically, to pay off the debt now, if he wants to get the Acme labs back, he has to sing every night Brainsway. So that's how the show ends.
Yeah, the Acme Labs becomes the Acme Lounge, and it's like cheap dinner theater. But
there's only like 6 people there, so it's going to take a while.
It's going to take a little while to fill this thing, but whatever. It's still, hey, it's show business.
Sing it one more time, baby!
No, Pinky, you'll have to wait till tomorrow night.
Why? What are we going to do tomorrow night?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Sing that stupid song another 50 times until we can buy back the lab.
He did it Brainsway, way.
Cha-cha-cha. But it took about 30 years, I believe, until he paid it off, and then the series picked up. Well, there are quite a few references in this one. There's, of course, he sings the I'm in Charge, which is the I'm in Love parody. Let's see. I thought that was interesting when he was singing that boxing ring. He sings about, singing like, instead of I got the world on a string, he talks about I'll go to tie the world up with rope, put it in a closet, and feed it under the door or something. And it was just like, it's a nice twisted way of taking those lyrics of
all the lyrics are kind of fun on the even in the beginning, like drive with me instead of fly,
the drive with me will watch out for old ladies and dogs that stray.
The alternate lyrics that they use are kind of fun.
Hey, drive with me, let's drive today. Put it in gear, Jack.
Encore!
They show a lot of magazines. A Variety one, and then I think it was maybe a Time magazine. I wasn't quite sure what the magazine was, but it showed Gene Kelly in a sailor suit dancing with Brain, and that, of course, is in reference to the movie
Shirley
that I
Temple?
can't. No, there was. Did you ever see Gene Kelly dancing with Jerry
the mouse,
from Tom and
I
Jerry?
remember that one.
Yeah, I don't know what movie that is, but it's just it's that.
I
Gene
want to
Kelly.
say it was like Anchors Away, but
that might
totally
be
wrong.
right. Let's go with that until somebody says you're absolutely wrong. If you
'Cause
want
they'll
to
correct us.
Some listener engagement that way.
listener engagement, tell us we're wrong at animaniacast@gmail.com. Just in the subject line, you're wrong.
Don't do that.
Oh, well, okay,
Be
whatever.
nice about it.
Okay.
Say, I love you, but you're wrong.
Subject, I love you, but you're wrong. Excellent.
I love you. Goodbye now.
I love you. Bye-bye.
I love you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Anyway. And of course,
I was
Nathan.
trying to remember what I was trying to reference. My brain is fried. I've been in class all week. I was like,
that's right.
I can see Mindy and she's saying something, but I don't have it right.
Well, and of course, the Kennedys. Nathan mentioned the Kennedys were there, and like Frank Sinatra had a connection with the Kennedys, which I guess is, some people say that the mafia is involved with it as well, and who knows? I'm not really into those things, and conspiracies, but there you go. It's in reference to
Kennedy.
Frank Sinatra, apparently, or Brainatra. No. The fins were made for swimming, was like the boots were made for walking, and of course that was Nancy Sinatra, who Frank Sinatra's daughter. So therefore, that's how Pinky was able to get into this. Sammy Davis Jr. I thought the whole thing, he liked to say cuckoo and everything like that, and of course likes talking like Pinky. It's nice that him and Pinky got along. Dean Martin's character, a lot of the words that he says in this episode are references to songs. Like he says, that's Amore. And he says, oh, ain't that a kick in the head? And there you go. They say, hey, this is the Mouse Pack, because it's like, Frank Sinatra's Rat Pack. I don't know why they were called the Rat Pack. They just were. And it was also kind of funny to see Dean Martin passed out because Dean Martin liked to drink. Some of the games that were in the casino after Baccarat was removed, I saw was something about video games, but I couldn't quite read what it was, which I thought it was weird for them to have a video game thing inside the casino in the 1960s. Pinky was way ahead of his.
They probably forgot what year.
Way ahead of his time. But Guess Your Own Weight, I believe, was one of the games. Bobbing for Cash, and then What's Your Name, of course, which was a great one. They mentioned the casino was the Purple Pelican, where Dwayne Fig Newton went off to, and that's in reference to the Pink Flamingo Casino, which is still around. It's been around since 1947, I believe. And I don't know, have we mentioned that this whole Brains Palace is like Caesar's Palace, and I'm not sure if they have like a Atlas kind of figure like Brain was holding up the world, but they have a lot of Greek statues outside of Caesar's Palace. Have either one of you been to Caesar's Palace before?
No, I've never been to Vegas.
It's not that great.
I've been outside of Caesar's Palace at the very least, and I can't remember if I've been inside. I was too drunk. No, it's been like 10 years or more since I was there, and I was drinking. So.
Yeah, exactly. I know when you're at a place where you can drink on the street, so everyone drinks on the street.
And there's not a lot to do in Vegas other than like
drink alcohol, be in the hot heat, or you get dehydrated and you just become a zombie.
Just stay up all night. Yeah, you just don't sleep and stuff like that. There's like shows, but if you don't want to spend a lot of money, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. There's not much to do. If you don't like to gamble or drink, I to see some shows and get out of there, I guess. Penn and Teller are in Vegas. That's the one thing that does make me want to go back to Vegas. Because especially from here in Tucson, I mean, flights to Vegas can be under $100, So let's go to Vegas, Nathan.
Let's do it. I think my parents are there now, actually.
They always go there. I don't know what happened to our parents, but ever since they got into their 60s, they just became Vegas hounds, and they just go up there every other weekend.
The food buffets? I heard the food buffets are good.
No, they don't do buffets.
Oh, okay.
I think, do they see shows, or I think they gamble a little bit. I think they mostly like to just go to a hotel and just relax and get away from everybody. So yeah, I don't know.
See Las Vegas as being a place to relax and get away from people.
It depends on what you're there for. I don't know. Maybe our parents are just really into like narcotics and who knows what else.
Oh my goodness!
And they only do it when they're in Vegas. So
they want to get rid of any inheritance we'll offer.
Got to gamble it away. Oh well. Well, and they mentioned it. One last thing, which I thought, Sinatra sang this song. Brain mentions "Long and Winding Road" towards the end. And of course, that's a Beatles song, and I thought, that's Frank Sinatra covered that, I think. And no, I don't think he did. He did cover like a couple other Beatles songs, but I don't think he ever covered that one. Anyway, and of course, at the end, there's Brainatra collector's plates that you can buy in the gift shop at the Acme Lounge, which I remember those collector's plates being big in the 80s and 90s. Every now and then, Time Life and everything, they'd be, what was it? The Franklin Mint. That was it. They would advertise those. Kelly, did you ever get any Star Wars collector's plates?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
See?
I ended up giving away a bunch of them. And I've got some Beauty and the Beast ones. And I have, I think, almost the whole set of Annie. Because
wow.
I found them on eBay like 20 years ago for like $5 a pop, because surprisingly no one else collects Annie collector plates, but by golly, I bought them. So
well, there you go. And yeah, they're great to eat dinner off of. I know. No, kidding.
Don't do that. They're pretty toxic, I think.
I
But,
think so,
yeah,
probably
I used to
don't do
buy
that.
tons off eBay of all kinds of stuff, but like, yeah, I just got rid of it.
Well, back in the early 90s, especially, there was 0 Star Wars collectibles. So, getting a collectible plate with, the asteroid field or something on it was, ooh, get this, because this is the only thing if you're a Star Wars fan.
And there's a Yoda, it was like a portrait series, so I definitely kept the Yoda one.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So, send your collector's plate collections to animaniacast@gmail.com. Anyway, let's go ahead. Any other things in here that you thought were interesting, funny, whatever? Kelly, anything in this third part you thought was cool?
I think this was actually more like in the second part, but I really enjoyed the conversation between Pinky and Sammy Davis Jr.
That was in the third part.
It was in the third part. Yes. I just thought it was so cute, and they were just really buddy. And,
yes,
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I do. Sammy Davis Jr. I remember as a little kid seeing him on like the Jerry Lewis telethon or something like that. That was my only exposure to Sammy Davis Jr. as a kid. But he was a cuckoo guy, a candy man. That's all I know. Nathan, what about you?
I just interesting to see the rise and fall of Brain, how quickly you can rise and how quickly it can all go away. Just, and he had kind of taken over the world in his own like little way, by being Brainatra was.
Yep.
It was almost, if that was his plan originally, then he would have said it was a success. But
Vegas. It was a short Vegas story right there. The rise and fall of Brainatra. It's kind of like Hacks. You guys see Hacks is on TV. That's all about Las Vegas lounge stuff. Well, comedian stuff, but connected. There was one more thing I thought was interesting, and I'm not coming to my brain right now. So I think we'll just go
Pinky
ahead.
in the Brain.
Oh yeah. We watched it. That's right. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get to our water tower rating. What do you guys think? Out of 5 water towers, how many would you give this episode of Pinky and the Brain? Nathan, let's start with you.
Oh boy, I'll say like 3.5. Yeah. There's like lots of references to some Frank Sinatra songs, lots of cool musics and things like that. It was a good episode. Yeah, I'll say 3.5.
All right. Kelly, what about you?
It's funny because 3.5 was also like my first inclination. I thought it wasn't like super funny, really, but I thought Brain was cute in his little hat, and I enjoyed the songs, and the writing was pretty strong throughout. It just didn't. It wasn't like super standout episode, but it was fine. It was cute.
Yeah,
I know I say everything's cute, but he really is cute in that little hat.
Well, I was going to give it 3, but you saying that he was cute in his little hat made me say 3.5 as well, because he was cute in that little hat. I agree. So triple agreement. Well, before we get to our water,
we already did the water tower rating.
Before we get to our contact information, is what I meant to say. We should mention that Kelly's not going to be here for another an episode or two because
never again.
No, she's going to be going away for a little bit.
Las Vegas.
Oh, well, you'll be somewhat.
She's
kind
changed
of
her mind. Yeah, she's going to Vegas instead.
You'll only be a state away from Las Vegas. Kelly's off to Colorado, right?
Yep, I'll be in Colorado for a week.
We're only a state away from Vegas. Maybe we're in the same state.
I don't know. But Kelly, you recently kind of helped put a book together, right? Do you want to talk about that at all?
I technically put 2 books together as part of a publishing program, and the group project, the anthology, just came out, and it's called Unmasked. And I was part of the editorial team, and it's Unmasked, tales. I think it's tales of risk and revelation, and it's stories we collected over the last year and put them into a book and chose cover art and assembled it and edited it, from concept all the way to printed book. And then I also worked on my own project, which was to compile some stories that were created in like 1816 between Mary Shelley, Lord Byron, and John William Polidori. Like they all had to come up with ghost stories. And so I'm collecting those 3 stories all in one book. And then again, I had to edit them together and choose cover art and fonts. And I think it looks really great. They actually brought in a professional cover designer once I did my mock-up. I'm not a graphic designer by any means, but it was fun. So that, it says on the front, edited by me.
Yeah, and it's called A Dark and Stormy Night, right?
It's One Stormy Night.
One Stormy Night. See, I gotta get the title in right. Well, I'll have the link where you can purchase. People can purchase this, right? Could they purchase it?
Yeah.
Tom Ruger has one.
Tom
He
Ruger?
does. Yes, I was very pleased and very humbled that Tom bought a copy.
Yeah. So if you want to be like Tom Ruger, the first steps to success is to buy Kelly's book. And your professor, I thought was really cool, is Kevin J. Anderson. So
yes,
he wrote some of my favorite Star Wars books growing up.
I'm a big fan of him too. Because I met Kevin like ages and ages, like at my very first Dragon Con. So I've always been a big fan of his books, and he's a super nice person, and he's so willing to help people learn about writing and publishing and the craft and just share his knowledge.
Well, there we go. So get it now. Well, let's go ahead and get to some contact information. Nathan, where can people find you online?
Twitter, JingoFT, that's me.
All right. And Kelly, what about you?
Also on Twitter, Yoda Princess, YODAPRNCSS, or you can email me, Kelly@BigShinyRobot.com.
All right. As for the Animaniacast, we're on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and probably a couple other things. I think even other things like TikTok, which I never do anything on, but maybe if people know what I should use TikTok for, you can email us at animaniacast@gmail.com. If you also are a big fan of our show and you'd like to support it, you can go to patreon.com/animaniacast, and there you can get bonus audio of us talking about stuff. You can also get additional creators' commentaries of every episode of Animaniacs. Plus, there's other things like decals and signed Animaniacs trading cards from Tom Ruger as well. So it's all over at patreon.com/animaniacast.
I saw a Wally Llama trading card. I want the Wally Llama trading card.
Well,
I saw it in the post.
Well, Kelly becomes a...
I will fight you over the Wally Llama.
Well, okay. Well, if you'd like to get that Wally Llama before Kelly does, then go to patreon.com/animaniacast. Well, that'll do it for today's episode. So, for Nathan and Kelly, this is Joey saying... Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures, Freakazoid, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds are registered trademarks and or copyrights of their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animaniacast unless otherwise indicated.
The love in this room.
Dig it.
You are cuckoo.
Nerf point man.
I'm hep, Daddy-O.
Zort, baby.